There has been a lot of talk, of course, lately, and by lately I mean for quite a while, about immigration, what we should do, numbers being too high in one administration, being lowered in another. And then here comes a report that suggests this is bad news for Canada. When I say bad news, attracting international talent, not just to this country, but then keeping it here. Daniel Bernhard is CEO of the Institute for Canadian Citizenship. And Mr. Bernhard, first of all, thank you for your time this afternoon. And let me begin by asking, as I said, with all the talk about immigration, this is something we really have never focused on. This study, which is called The Leaky Bucket 2025, is very worrisome. So explain exactly what you found here and why we should be concerned.
Well, I think your setup was perfect. We talk so much about the number of people coming into the country, and we don't really think about how many of them stay. I mean, a lot of them do stay, but as you mentioned, this study now reveals that there is a growing trend, and it's been a 40-year trend, but it's really spiked in recent years, a 40-year trend of immigrants coming to Canada and saying, thanks, but no thanks, and then they leave for a competitor country. Now, some people who are looking for the population to shrink a little bit or for the number of immigrants in the country to shrink might think, well, this is a great thing. Good news. Take care, guys. But actually, this is not a good news story for Canada because, as we'll probably discuss shortly, we reveal that the most educated, the most qualified immigrants are actually the first to leave. They're leaving at much higher than average rates. And so who's the loser in all this? It's Canadians who are missing out on the contribution of these global the most talented people in the world, basically, who could have played for our team and are now going to go play for somebody else.
Yeah, and to your point, so it's noted in the article, right, that these people are the people who build things. We talk so much about building things, especially in this new government now. So railways, infrastructure, housing projects, and yet those are the people we're losing.
Yeah, so we talk about immigration often as though we're doing a favor to immigrants who are down on their luck and should be lucky to be here, and that we're doing them a favor. But the truth is, in most cases, Canada needs immigrants a lot more than they need us. So we are the big losers when talented people are leaving the country. We have, healthcare wait times. 28,000 people died in Canada last year awaiting a medical procedure. Well, immigrant healthcare workers leave at 36% above the average rate for all immigrants. We talk about wanting to double our non-U.S. trade volume within 10 years. Seasoned executives with global Rolodexes that can help plug us into these commercial networks, they leave at 193% above average. We want to attract all these great researchers to our universities. The last federal budget's going to spend billions of dollars on that. People with a PhD are twice as likely to leave compared to someone with a bachelor's degree. So we have to be asking ourselves, if the best talent from the world is not going to stay here, who loses? And I suggest that the answer is that we lose. We could have these people playing for our team, and that makes our team stronger.
I guess the obvious question is, as you run down these statistics, is why are they leaving? Do we know? Is there a general consensus here as to why?
I think there are sort of two sets of factors. One set of factors are the ones that we all complain about, and I'm sure you talk about a lot on your show. Housing is really expensive. Cost of living is going up. Cost of food is going up. All of these types of things. And that definitely impacts immigrants just like it impacts you and I and people who've been here for longer. But we also see that people who come with really high qualifications are not able to work in employment that's commensurate or suitable for their level of experience and training. I was just talking to a guy the other day in Saskatchewan who used to be a pretty senior official at the central bank in Bangladesh. He has a master's degree from a university in Australia, and he was working as a call center rep for one of the banks in Saskatoon. Uh-huh. So people are getting discouraged, and we have to remember these are talented people, and so they have global options. All the other developed countries are also aging, are also looking to attract talented people from around the world. So we're in competition, and just opening the door is not enough. We have to make sure that when people get here, they are able to contribute to the full extent of their potential, because that contribution they make is to our quality of life. It's to our GDP. It's to our public services that we all benefit from. So I think my lesson, or the lesson I draw from this, is we have to stop thinking about immigration as a favor that we do for immigrants. We have to start remembering this is a service that we do for ourselves. And if these people that we bring here for the purpose of addressing our most important needs, when those people leave, our needs don't leave with them. So this is about taking care of ourselves, taking care of Canada, and making sure that our country doesn't get older and weaker and poorer and less interesting, but quite the opposite, that we can renew it, and bring in the best ideas and the best talent from around the world to advance our interests right here.
But by the way, I should point out for perspective, in reading the article, this is not a matter of, we can look at this government or the last government or even the last, liberal governments, plural. This problem has apparently been going on for quite some time, right? This notes like a 20-year swing in this actually happening, does it not?
Yeah, it's a 40-year swing that's been gradually going up with some variation in year to year, but generally upward trend. But it's really spiked in recent years, and this report is, shows 4 consecutive years of rising onward migration. But you're right; it spans liberal and conservative governments, periods of recession, periods of economic strength. Part of this is just the changing nature of migration in general, but I'd say if we are able to attract this talent, any business owner will tell you, retention beats replacement any day when it comes to a client or an employee. So it would serve us all well to make sure that these people who are established here see fit to stay and contribute to our success instead of going to some competitor country and helping them get ahead instead.
By the way, I should point out for people hearing this perhaps who don't fully understand, when we talk about types of immigrants, there's a category called economic immigrants, and it turns out, according to the study, more than 60% of these newcomers who come here are in fact in that category. Those are the kind of people we're trying to attract to begin with, yet they end up leaving.
Yeah, that's right. And so the study, we've done this now for 3 years. This study, each fall, we put out a new edition. This year, we sliced it by skill level and profession. So that's why I'm able to tell you, for example, that PhDs leave at twice the rate as people with a bachelor's degree. But we also see that of the 16 most in-demand professions, the professions where we need the most people, 10 of them have below average retention rates. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about scientists. I'm talking about healthcare workers. I'm talking about experts in AI, cybersecurity, software developers, engineering managers. We want to build a railway from Quebec City to Windsor, maybe in our lifetime. There are other countries that have solved these problems, and the people who have solved those problems can help us to solve those problems too. The housing is another one, right? Managers in engineering and architecture, these people are leaving all at above average rates. So, like I said earlier, Canada's problems, we have challenges, but those challenges have been solved. They've just been solved elsewhere. And if we've done the amazing thing of being able to actually attract some of the people with experience in solving these issues to come here, it's really in our interest to make sure that we can keep them here to contribute long-term and help Canada catch up.
So just as a final question, what's the solution here? I mean, who has to get involved? Where does it start? How does it go? How does it happen?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a story, and we need to tell ourselves the truth, which is that, immigration is not a favor we do for people. For the most part, we need immigrants more than they need us. And once we start to recognize that, we can start to make investments in retention. Our settlement services, for example, help to teach language, help to people to be able to write a CV and stuff like that. But if you've got a PhD from a university in Australia or England or one of these places, you don't need help writing a CV. Instead, we need to help you to decide that your decision to come to Canada was the right move, that this investment will pay off, that this is your place and this is your people. So we don't have any settlement services right now for highly skilled immigrants. The economic immigrants, only 18% of them use any settlement service at all within their first year of planning. So that's definitely got to change. And the second thing is we think it's time for the government to adapt a federal retention policy. The immigration department is not just the bouncer or the security guard to keep quote unquote bad people out of the country. It's the HR department that's recruiting these people, and like any HR professional will tell you, just signing the contract and getting them on the job is not enough. You have to make sure that they're onboarded properly and that they succeed. You got to check in. So I think there's a longer horizon here, and if the government was forced to report on retention, then I think they would have incentives to start to improve it.
All right, we will leave it at that. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it this afternoon.
My pleasure.
Seasoned gamer or just video game curious? This Week in Gaming is the podcast for you. We break down the latest in the world of video games, from basics to beyond. The hottest gaming news, insight, and industry leaders and more, weekly. Join me, Naomi Kyle, and stay ahead of the game with all the latest updates, even if you're a total newbie. Stream This Week in Gaming on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.